Today, new home sales get a bump after 3 months of declines. Prices fall slightly too, but the market is still red hot. The worker shortage is forcing some restaurants to close and causing troubles for other industries too. We hear from some businesses about it. And as the Delta variant surges, illegal movie downloads surge as well. It's a worldwide problem. That and much more coming up in NTD Business. Good evening. Great to have you with us. I'm Paul Graney. The pandemic has pushed more older Americans into retirement. The Schwartz Center for Economic Policy Analysis estimates that 1.7 million more workers aged 55 and older retired during the pandemic recession than would have otherwise. The researchers say fear virus was likely the main driver and was mostly those in the higher age bracket, 65 and older, that called it a day. And those with no college degree were more likely to retire than those with a degree. There's also a huge difference in retirement savings between those with or without a degree. The report says for older workers without a degree, their median household retirement savings was only $9,000 in 2019, compared to $167,000 for their counterparts with a degree. And milkshake lovers in the United Kingdom are out of luck. Milkshakes are now off the menu at McDonald's in the UK. Supply chain issues have left the fast food chain running out of milk. Bottled drinks are also gone. McDonald's didn't say exactly where the problem comes from, but supply chain issues are affecting the entire hospitality sector. McDonald's rival KFC has also said it's struggling to stock some items and uses normal packaging. UK retailers and restaurants face a shortage of truck drivers too. Many left the country as a result of Brexit. New figures show the shortages are hampering the country's post-lockdown rebound. McDonald's, though, is promising that shakes will be back on the menu as soon as possible. And sales of new single-family homes increased in July after 3 straight monthly declines. But housing market momentum is slowing as high prices and tight supply sideline some first-time buyers. New home sales rose 1% in July, but it was still 27% lower than the same period a year ago. At the same time, the median new house price hit a record of over $390,000. That's up 18% from a year earlier. New home inventory rose, but mostly driven by homes that are yet to be built. Completed houses make up only 10% of supply. Builders are taking longer to complete houses too, hobbled by expensive raw materials, as well as scarce land and workers. Aaron Van Trojan is the CEO at Geneva Financial, a top mortgage lender with 800 employees across the country. Asked him where he's seeing the housing demand right now.
I'm in Arizona. This has been a white-hot market. Again, causes me concern because I know that what's happening here is unsustainable. I see what a 2,500 square foot tract home sells for now versus just a couple years ago, and it's doubled, sometimes tripled in cost. That's not logical. It's not a rational thing. Austin, Texas has gotten a lot of publicity right now because of how many houses are being sold, $100,000, $200,000 over list price. Again, those things cause me pause to think about, is it really rational? Even though you have the demand there, what's the outcome of that type of buying environment? But most of the country right now is experiencing this at some level, and certainly places that have always been highly desirable, like California. Everybody talks about the migration out of California, which might be somewhat true, but that's a migration of renters. It's not a migration of people that want to live in California, because California home prices are soaring, right? You can't have soaring prices if the demand's not there. And I do believe that in most of these areas that the demand is going to drop, again, largely due to the sustainability. It just cannot go on forever.
And what do you think? Obviously, the people are willing to pay more. If we can see recently, the home prices are up quite a lot. I think 18%, correct me if I'm wrong, on last year. But again, the costs are definitely increasing with various commodity costs. Where do you think the tipping point is, or the breaking point? Who's going to break first?
I think the consumer's breaking first, and I think we're starting to see signs of that right now. And I don't know if the signs are because the homes have just become too unaffordable for the masses. That's certainly going to become a problem with appreciation doing what it's doing. That is unsustainable. It can't continue. It's far outpacing, income. So you can only rise the price of any commodity for that matter without increasing income, and income's not moving that much. The biggest issue is going to be you have limited inventory that's still way down. Of course, it was way down before the pandemic even hit, so it just got compounded with the pandemic. And I think that you're seeing that buyers are just exhausted with the prospects of trying to buy a house. I mean, most people that you talk to that have been in the home purchase market, they might be making a dozen or 24 offers before they can get an accepted contract, and they're chasing a price that just continues to go up and up and up. So I think the initial lag on home sales, which you're seeing right now with existing home sales, is actually down just slightly. It hasn't changed appreciation any, but you do see home sales down just slightly. I think it's just the buyer's exhaustion more than anything. I just think that people are tired of trying to buy a new house right now in this kind of a market.
Aaron Van Trojan, Geneva Financial. And the labor shortage is forcing fast food chain Chick-fil-A to close some of its locations. Restaurants are bidding for staff. You might also find some empty shelves in the supermarket again. NTD's Don Ma has the details.
Chick-fil-A had to close some of its locations because of a worker shortage. In a Facebook post, one restaurant in Alabama writes that it's in the middle of a job crisis. According to the post, it's receiving far fewer job applications than normal. And it's not the only business that reports issues with staffing. The shortage has led to a bidding war for staff, especially in the restaurant industry. Mayor Gold, vice president of operations at Seasons Kosher Supermarkets, says he had to cut back on service because of the shortage. But his staff still has to offer more help than usual.
We keep the same store hours and just everyone just putting in more work. So over the summer, where normally people would take a break and maybe slow down a little bit, cut back some of the hours, they're not able to this year.
On top of grocery chains battling supply challenges, now CEO of Roos's Markets says that he's running low on everything from pet food to canned goods. Gold said he has seen this issue as well.
We're having a conversation with an account supervisor over at Pepsi in New York a couple of days back, and he said they're having a hard time finding people to load the trucks. So there might be product that's produced, but they can't get it onto the trucks.
Cheryl Cherico, CEO of Tier 3 MD, an IT service firm, is also running into staffing shortages. She says that she has trouble finding people who are willing to work at the office, something that is necessary for her company because of the collaborative work. Sumir Meghani, CEO of InstaWork, says that one of the reasons is that workers are now looking for flexible work schedules.
The most important thing is businesses recognizing internally that the future of work is offering flexibility in a form that workers appreciate, that they're also able to support, and designing their internal operations to enable that.
Executives in the food retail industry say that they expect those disruptions to last until 2022. Gold hopes that the end of the unemployment benefits will make a difference to his staffing shortage. Don Ma, NTD News.
And Disney World has reached a deal with its union workers to require COVID-19 vaccines. Local 362 says more than 30,000 unionized cast members must show proof of vaccination by October 22nd. If they don't, they could lose their jobs. Employees with a medical or religious waiver have to apply for an accommodation. Disney already announced its salaried and non-union hourly employees in the U.S. have to be fully vaccinated by the end of September. And as the Delta variant lengthens the pandemic, illegal movie downloads have skyrocketed. People pirating films at home have cost the industry heavily, but it can't do much about it. NTD's Leo Lee reports.
Illegal movie downloading skyrocketed during the pandemic. Millions are downloading blockbuster movies from Black Widow to Godzilla vs. Kong.
It's Godzilla.
To the Suicide Squad.
You fail to follow my orders in any way, and I detonate the explosive device in the base of your skull.
And we've seen somewhere approaching a 76% increase in piracy across the board. At the beginning of July 2020 to the end of July 2021, we've tracked 16.5 billion visits to piracy sites just from the US alone.
Andrew Chatterley, CEO of piracy data firm Muso, says the U.S. illegally downloads the most movies, followed by Russia, China, and India. File-sharing publication Torrent Freak says the most downloaded movies last week were Snake Eyes, The Green Knight, and The Suicide Squad.
A lot of movies have gone straight to streaming video on demand, and so we've seen very, very big spikes, film piracy on the day that they are available on other legal digital platforms.
Normally, high-quality downloads aren't available until after the theatrical release, when the movie is released for home entertainment. The National Association of Theater Owners says theatrical exclusivity is the way forward. In a news release, it cites Black Widow, saying its strong previews and opening day total led to a stunning second weekend collapse. It partly blamed simultaneous release piracy. A report by the International Chamber of Commerce says pirating could cost the world $2.3 trillion by 2022, but creators aren't able to do much about it.
It's a whack-a-mole problem, meaning when you litigate or attack one node or one problem area of torrenting, it pops up somewhere else.
Movie studios will most likely keep simultaneous releases during the pandemic because the Delta variant suggests people won't return to the theaters in droves. However, Disney is experimenting with Shang-Chi, which will be in theaters exclusively for 45 days.
Glad I was right.
Leo Lee, NTD News.
And there's a new computer virus that invades your smartphone and steals your money. NTD's Phil Zoe has the details.
Watch out, Batman! The Joker is back! And this time, he's not terrorizing Gotham City, but instead, he's invading people's Android smartphones and emptying bank accounts. We're talking about the Joker virus, and it's attacking Android phones by hiding in various apps on the Google Play Store. After users download the apps, the malware can subscribe the user to payment services without their authorization. The Belgian police detected the virus in 8 different Play Store apps, but it's not the first time. The Joker virus started in 2017. Since then, Google removed nearly 2,000 apps that have been infected. In September last year, dozens of apps with the Joker virus were downloaded over 500,000 times. It affected more than 30 countries, including the US. At that time, hackers could steal up to $7 per week from unauthorized subscriptions. Some say the small amount is hard to detect unless you review your account statements in detail. Banks are also unaware because the subscriptions often appear normal and the charge amounts are too small to set off a bank alert. The infected apps include travel wallpapers, Super Message, and Free Cam Scanner, to name a few. Even after Google deleted some of the apps, experts recommend uninstalling the apps from your smartphone as soon as possible. Phil Zoe, NTD News, Gotham City.
And Walmart is beefing up its delivery platform with a new service it's called Go Local. It brings goods to your door from other retailers. The products could be from local bakeries or national auto supply chains. Walmart launched this delivery service 3 years ago, and the company says it now reaches nearly 70% of the U.S. population. And Best Buy is betting it will see more demand for computer equipment as the work-from-home trend continues, so it's boosted its full-year sales forecast today. Contradicts Wall Street fears that it would suffer a slowdown after a sales boom last year. A big chunk of that came from remote learning, but sales of computers and equipment continued to fly off the shelves in recent months, helping lift second quarter sales by 20%. The trend is likely to continue. To get out of supply chain bottlenecks, Best Buy said it's stocked up on as much inventory as possible during the second quarter. The company is confident it can avoid empty shelves during the holiday season. Wall Street ended modestly higher today, still enough to nudge the Nasdaq to a new record high though. It's up 77 points, about 0.5%. Dow Jones rose 31 points, 0.1%, and the S&P 500 also set a record, gaining 7 points, less than 0.2%. And the IMF is giving the world's governments more money to spend, $650 billion to be exact. It's through its largest ever allocation of special drawing rights, SDRs, or an asset created by the IMF that holders can swap for real currency and spend as they please. Could lead countries to print new money to swap for the SDRs. That would be inflationary. But the IMF says if the countries use the money wisely, it could be a unique opportunity to combat the crisis. So what does it mean to use it wisely? Asked Daniel Akaye. He's the chief economist at the Chesses Hedge Fund, managing $6 billion in assets.
They should spend it on productivity gaining sectors. They should spend it on infrastructure and on research and development. Unfortunately, that is very long term. So what they are likely to spend it on is on projects that generate a very quick fix to the economy or a big impact, large white elephants and current spending. And that is the problem. No, that tends to be the problem, is that you start to create overcapacity, malinvestment, and poor capital allocation, because that's what tends to happen when you get so-called free money. First, it is not free. Second is that the incentive to use it poorly is very large. So what I would obviously recommend is for countries to use it on improving the productivity of the economy by putting those funds into the high productivity sectors, into the sectors that are going to lead the technological change and the improvement of the sustainability of the economy. But that is very long term. What they will look is for something that bloats GDP quickly.
That's interesting. So we always hear about the productive side of the economy. We usually talk about the private side, but is there a way for the government to invest in a productive way as well?
Well, there is. Obviously, for example, if you have built a bridge between two large cities, that is obviously a productive investment that pays its cost numerous times over if you do it. If you build a dam that is going to be generating electricity for a long period of time, that is also something that generates returns that pay for the project multiple times over. The government can support those projects. What is the problem? The problem is that the vast majority of those projects do not need government support or have been made already. So the incentive for many governments is to start to disguise things under the umbrella of, for example, non-tangible infrastructure. You guys know it in the United States, where they have built an infrastructure program that has very little infrastructure, actual infrastructure in it. So that is the problem. It's that of course there can be good investment. But when you give governments such a large amount of money to be spent in so little time, among a very selective few good projects, you will have a myriad of white elephants and malinvestment.
Daniel Akaye, Chesses. And still to come this evening, Peloton's cheaper treadmill going on sale soon. The company says new safety features have fixed old problems. And tourists return to Morocco for vacation after a long pandemic hiatus. Visitors tell us what it's like to be back after the long wait. That and more after the short break.
Secure, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Secure is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Secure is 100% private and does not collect or sell any of your personal data. Secure's Helix technology connects you securely to our Swiss servers without the need of a VPN, guaranteeing privacy and security for all your communications. Secure Messenger doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. Chat by Invites allows you to chat privately and securely with anyone outside of your secure network without the need for others to download Secure. Secure Send offers you a private and secure way to email anyone outside of Secure. You won't find this level of privacy or security on any other email or instant messaging application. Visit secure.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Welcome back. Peloton's relatively cheaper treadmill is finally going on sale. Fitness company says the Peloton Tread will be released next week. The treadmill will cost around $2,500, cheaper than the Tread Plus, which used to retail at over $4,200. Both machines were recalled back in May due to safety concerns following a child's death and 70 other injuries. The company is still working to fix the issue with the Peloton Tread Plus, but it touts new safety features on the Peloton Tread, including a passcode to unlock the belt and a safety key to quickly stop it if needed. And spicy fall flavors, love them or hate them. Restaurants are battling over them, and you can expect steep competition this year. Panera is blazing into the fight with a new drink it calls a cinnamon crunch latte. Though it lacks pumpkin flavor, the restaurant is definitely aiming to swipe market share away from Starbucks. The chain issued a statement saying, "Let's face it, cinnamon crunch trumps pumpkin." Panera is waiting until next Wednesday to launch its new drink, while Starbucks rolled out its pumpkin spice latte today. That's earlier than a year's past and happened as much of the country experienced high temperatures in the 90s. And a lot of people have been moving to Florida and Texas, but there's a lesser-known area in Colorado that's experiencing a population boom, a boom so big the cities needed to find more water. NTD's Miguel Moreno with more on that.
You ever heard of Greeley, Colorado?
I've always said for years it was the best kept secret in the Front Range.
Not such a secret anymore. People are flocking to Greeley. The Census Bureau says the city and surrounding Weld County grew by more than 30% in 10 years, one of the fastest growing regions in the country. Cafe owner Amy Hudson says she's watched the city balloon since the 90s.
Some of the best parts about living in Greeley is that it is a small town feel, but still a pretty big city.
Right now, about 109,000 people live there, and it's expected to double in about 30 years. Relatively low housing prices, a major meat packing plant, and a mix of jobs in energy, healthcare, and agriculture are drawing people in. But the bigger the boom, the more demand there is for water. And Colorado's going through a drought, so the city's voted to buy an aquifer. This underground layer of rock and water will provide H2O for generations to come.
In essence, the transaction, we issued the seller, Wingfoot Water Resources, credits. Wingfoot sells those credits to developers. Developers turn in the credits to Greeley, and we issue them water service.
Colorado River and Northern Sierra reservoirs have dropped to historic lows. Last week, Adel Haj Khalil, the general manager of Southern California's Metropolitan Water District, said, "The Colorado River is sending us a clear message: conserve, reuse, and recycle. The Colorado River has been a lifeline for Southern California for more than 80 years. The state has issued an alert to residents, urging them to conserve water." Miguel Moreno, NTD News.
And Morocco's tourism industry is starting to recover from the pandemic shutdown. Flights resumed in June, but hotels are continuing to keep strict sanitation protocols in place. NTD Center Thomas reports.
Poolside in Marrakesh, Pascal and Natalie Greco have been waiting for this vacation for a while now. The Canadian tourists have come to the Moroccan city for the first time since February 2020. They are normally regular visitors, but like so many others around the world, the pandemic put a stop to their travels. So far, they are pleased with their first trip, despite the restrictions.
Since I arrived, I have felt very comfortable. There is nothing different from what I was doing when I was in my country, so it's really not a problem.
Restrictions on flights into the country were relaxed on June 15th. Since then, Morocco's tourism industry has begun to recover. With its climate, attractive hotels, restaurants, and traditional markets, Marrakesh is a top tourist destination.
It's very difficult when I arrive in Marrakech to go elsewhere. I'm so in love with Marrakech. I find my happiness here, so I'm not moving for the moment. For 2.5 weeks, there will be care, more of this human warmth that I adore.
Inside the hotel, pandemic precautions are more obvious. Guests wear their masks and use hand sanitizer.
Yeah, we're glad that the hotel is taking it seriously and give us sanitization when we get in, and the mask is worn, and we're vaccinated, but we're conscious that not everyone is, and we're glad that precautions are being taken.
Occupancy here at the Radisson Blu is around 62%, according to hotel management. Around 12% is made up of foreign tourists, but the majority are Moroccans. The regular cleaning is a reminder that the virus has not gone away. In fact, cases have risen, but so far there's been no announcement of a return to lockdowns. In the markets and restaurants, the gradual return of tourists is a welcome sight after so long in shutdown, with little income. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
That's the latest business updates for today, but you can still catch NTD Evening News with Stephanie Cox at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
We have a new channel. Subscribe to us on YouTube at NTD News. Get the highlights of our news broadcast and the most important headlines that we curate especially for you.
Don't let YouTube decide what information you get. That's your choice. YouTube is deleting our videos and cuts you off from a source of honest reporting. Make sure you don't lose access to NTD's news content, and take a quick moment to subscribe to our newsletter so no matter what happens here, you'll keep your access to a trustworthy news source.